Welcome to this new episode of Cooperative City in Dialogue. I'm very pleased to have the AGORA project in this episode with various partners in the Zoom and various partners in the panel. We will be also having two external experts, actually one, because Tom from Brighton couldn't join us, but we will have Miguel from Lisbon and also my colleague Daniela Patti, who's going to present us the manifesto. Today, I have also a lot of helping hands in the various platforms. My colleagues are going to share with you links to the people, videos and links. They will be collecting all your feedback, all your questions, and bring them back to the panel. So feel free to engage feedback and show us your reactions. We also want to welcome you to share this live stream and maybe start also watch live parties on your accounts. My name is Bahano Nasio. I am very happy to host you today from Utopian's office in Vienna. And I have the honor to give the word to my colleagues in Cluj. Oana Buzato is one of the project leaders in Cluj. Hello, Oana. Where are you joining us from?
Hello, everybody. I'm joining you from the City Hall of Cluj-Napoca, which is the heart of Transylvania, and in this project is the lead partner of a wonderful, very dynamic team. We are still struggling to connect with everybody and to synergize with all our colleagues, and we have very high expectations of all the learning that AGORA, we feel that it will mean for Cluj as a project. It is one of the most diverse and dynamic in terms of content projects that we joined so far. And we prepared a very short presentation because nobody likes long presentations about what AGORA means. I will share the screen and try to make it as painless as possible.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so welcome to the kickoff meeting of the AGORA project. It's a good governance through social innovation approach of a big team created around this Danube International program with, if we are to summarize it in four main points as main topics of the project. One is the decentralized governance models that the partners will try to better understand and also to achieve during the implementation of the project. The other one is the urban policy and co-produced public responsibility perspective. Also the joint urban regeneration design of open governance solutions with at least 10 different settings across the Danube region. And of course, a big component of transfer and scaling. If we are to talk about the specific objectives of the AGORA, one of them is to obtain at the end a big toolkit to set up new operational and policy instruments for public administration in order to fast-track urban regeneration. I think all the cities and all the other stakeholders already know that this is the way to try to progress, to put together all these instruments that allows different kind of publics and different kind of stakeholders to do together better and bigger and bigger projects that they would all do separately. AGORA also has an objective regarding the regeneration agendas to co-create shared operationalized development strategies at local level. And of course, to create this platform and to encourage the building of a community, fostering organizational innovation for cooperative city asset management and valorization. After meeting, talking, working learning, failing and learning from our mistakes, of course, process that we all embrace starting today. We hope to achieve the main results regarding developing a scalable network system of local innovation, and also one agenda on sustainable urban regeneration strategies. That toolkit that I already told you about will go through different stages of testing, piloting, trials, and hopefully will get to the end to become new instruments that our communities can use and implement from that point on. And of course, to offer to the public administration transnational capacity building and transfer context through seminars and through meetings that we at the times we are living. The team of Agora is formed by cities and also by stakeholders with different expertise. Cluj is the main leader, but we see ourselves as the equal part of a lot of amazing cities such as Sofia, Chisinau.
Anna, thank you very much. The
Prague,
sound is getting worse.
The region of Neckar Alb, Kranj, Koprovica, Slavonski Brod, and some. Okay.
I think you
all
will.
The other instruments are public, and we are here for the whole. Okay, I'm not sure if it's blocked or not. Okay, I can hear you.
Towards the end, your sound was very difficult to understand. Perhaps you can later on repeat the cities, participating cities. I understood that you have a collaborative approach to the different cities, and that we will be working together. It's not so much hierarchical, the project's lead. It's more working together and collaborated. So I have the pleasure now to talk to Daniela. Daniela Patti is the author of the manifesto, and I would like to say hello. Where are you joining us from?
Hello from Rome. Hello, everyone. How are you?
We are all fine. Thank you for joining us and having the lunch with us. We wanted to connect what Dalila presented as objectives or as goals to your experience in the lockdown phase. You hosted a lot of cooperative city in quarantines. You had cities, you had NGOs, and so on. How can you relate to the objectives, and how can the manifesto come handy in this new project and process?
So thanks a lot for joining for having us join the discussion with the experience of the manifesto, because with Utropian, as many of you might know, and if you don't know, this is a good moment for you to discover this. We are partners in the Agora project, but we also run a magazine called Cooperative City. At the time of the quarantine, we usually publish articles on collaborative urban practices from around Europe, telling stories about how communities are transforming their cities. And we had a series, of articles in the pipeline to publish in March. And all of a sudden, then with the lockdown, we just realized, okay, it's a bit irrelevant to be sharing a story of a fantastic community in somewhere in some town or city around Europe when everybody's locked at home because everybody has different priorities. And all of a sudden we realized, we don't really, we hear about the numbers from the radio, from the news, but we don't know exactly what is happening in our cities. We had started already hearing about some practices of solidarity in cities, but, especially like food packs, emergency kits, but what was actually happening? So this is how we started having a series of webinars on different topics, basically starting up by inviting friends from around Europe that are, collaborating regularly with the magazine, asking them what to do. And slowly this became an opportunity to connect up also to all those initiatives, projects, both from research and practice, that are developing new collaborative approaches, and obviously we're questioning what was happening during the COVID, just as we were. So we joined forces and we developed together what we defined the manifesto, which is an attempt from our side, which is a work in progress. It's a starting point, but manifesto is a nice way also to give a vision, to give a possibility for the future, where we started questioning in a moment in which in Europe there is a very big discussion about how resources will be invested with the Recovery Fund, with Next Generation Europe. How can we make sure that this actually arrives to the ground, that this actually arrives to regenerate our neighborhoods, that really this ensures social inclusion? And this is how we developed the manifesto on collaborative and social economy. And I believe that this is a framework that is very relevant and also in the framework of the discussion today, because in the moment in which we're discussing about new ways of regenerating our cities, it's fundamental to ensure that the economic models ensure to have an impact on the ground that is real. So we really have to make sure that the access to space and the involvement, the impact on the economy and the involvement of the local communities is something that is integrated in a way to ensure that there is a real impact and real inclusion. We also have a video, but I will ask my my dear friend Bahanur whether we have the time for this at any stage, and if we do, we would be happy to share it, and if not, maybe this can be shared in a later moment.
Maybe we share it in a later moment, because
Fantastic.
we have kind of difficulties to record and stream at the moment, so we don't want to risk to lose audience. I have a very practical question. You are the author of the manifesto, and we have 10 cities which Oana was presenting with the graphics. They are really around the Danube region and our neighboring countries, so it has a really big potential to become a movement almost. I don't know if that is the aim, but how do cities benefit from the manifesto, or what kind of suggestions do you have for such cities?
So I think the assets we need to work on are multiple. So one is the access of the financial resources that are available. For those that are EU member states, there are obviously all the funds that are coming from the EU, especially for the funding of 21-27, as well as the additional funds for the COVID emergency. And for those who are not part of the EU, nevertheless, having liquidity coming also, whether it's from national resources and so on, is fundamental. But this has to be, we have to think about how this is directed towards. And when we're looking at spaces, this is really where we have to make sure that we're not only regenerating the building. So we definitely need to have an investment that is, making sure that the building is secure and we're not going to have it falling on our heads and so on, but especially that it becomes a shelter to accommodate economic activities that generate an economy at a local scale that really has an impact. Translated in practice, that means that when we regenerate a space, it makes a difference if we make a luxury hotel, or whether we make space for a hostel that works with reinserting local community. We might even have a luxury hotel, but then maybe what we want to do is to ensure that this is an opportunity for unemployed, disadvantaged people of the city to actually get an opportunity to work. So this is where we have to really make sure that the investment and the work that we do in regeneration also has an impact on the long term on the social inclusion. And this is where the work that we're doing with the manifesto and thinking also about how are the financial models, the policy models for developing this can be a good opportunity for connecting up.
Thank you very much, Daniela. This connects me to the next guest. We will zoom into the cities participating in this panel. So we will look into Prague, one of the AGORA cities. I have with me Pavel Pospíšek, and he's the team leader. Pavel, where are you joining us from?
Hello, everybody. My name is Pavel, and I'm joining you from Prague 9, since we had this Heart of Transylvania thing from Oana. we say that Prague is the heart of Europe, so another heart.
Thank you. You heard Daniela. With the manifesto, we were proposing to make sure that local initiatives get their share and also space to be active also in pandemics and after pandemics. How feasible is that in your city?
Well, we believe that if there's a will, there's a way. So basically everything is feasible. But in case of Prague, as you notice, there is this little 9 behind the Prague. So that means that we're a district in the Prague itself capital. So we have to cooperate between those 2 levels. This is the first level, there's like municipal districts, there's 57 of them. And there's Prague, the capital itself, which every level has different kind of competencies. So in order to implement some of the innovative ideas that Daniela was suggesting in words of Sir Humphrey Appleby, very brave ideas, I would say, we have to cooperate with the private capital because we need their support because they have some other competencies. But just to get it back, I believe that's good that these things should start from the bottom up. So having a district or being a district within the manifesto, I think it's gives us a good position for start to make it
up. Would you explain a bit what the work in Prague will be in this Agora project? In which area are you going to work? What kind of vacancies do you have? What kind of people, initiatives do you have who are interested in places?
Okay, just briefly, history introduction. Prague 9 itself, it's a former industrial area. And within the last 25 years, the city is trying to make the former industrial area full with brownfields, turning into a residential area. The Prague 9 also, if you imagine it on the map, it's not really in the city center. It's not on the suburbs, so it's kind of a middle. So we're facing a massive housing transformation. And our work in Agora is to find the pace, find the energy to find balance between turning like all those brownfields into potential housing area. So we would be able to turn it into a place where the citizens would feel like safe, where they would like to live and have not only just housing or not only just something, but to find balance between all of the things we can actually transform the brownfields into.
That sounds very ambitious and for sure not an easy task to combine. What kind of challenges occurred now because of the pandemic? Do you have more need for spaces? Is there more vacancy? How is the economy doing? Are people even interested in starting initiatives or businesses?
All right. In Prague or in Czech Republic generally, the situation is now, maybe you know some of the facts from the news. We kind of handled the first wave of the COVID pandemic really well, but now we're struggling and we're awaiting more governmental regulations. Every minute, every hour, for Monday, there should be some new regulations. So people are like more, I wouldn't say terrified, but they're not very sure if they want to do something courageous. But I think that like 2 areas specifically were affected by the coronavirus outbreak, which would be the accommodation and the gastronomy industry. So a lot of people are, I would say, like more afraid of to begin their businesses or to use the spatial, to use the vacant areas or the vacancies and transform it into those businesses because they're not very sure if they're going to be able to get customers or so.
Thank you very much for the input from Prague. I would like to turn the camera to Lisbon. We have Miguel Brito from Head of Local Development Department in the City Council in Lisbon. Hello, Miguel. Where are you joining us from?
Good morning. From Lisbon, from the office. I'm in the office, the Lisbon municipality office right now. It's a little bit empty these days, and it's a pleasure to join this conversation. So thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Daniela mentioned a bit, and also from Pavel, I get the feeling that it's a very, very demanding times. And I remember in one of the cooperative city in quarantine, episodes, we were talking about tourism, and one of the panelists said, what we do during the pandemic or a crisis is our business card for future. So people will remember what we did. I would like to give you the word to explain what did you do in Community Lab and how do you deal in the middle of the project with the pandemic?
Okay, so I think I will try to make it in 3 steps, quick steps. Give you an overview, a quick overview about local development ideas and strategies in Lisbon, not in only in the municipality, but in the city itself. We call it BIP-ZIP. It's a Portuguese acronym for priority neighborhoods or zones in the city. And it's all about social cohesion, territorial cohesion in the city, and the empowerment and engagement of local organizations and communities to work in their own issues locally in these neighborhoods, hand to hand with the public and other private entities, and to create a co-gov environment. This was we started this in 10 years ago, and it was kicked off by a group of citizens that were elected in 2007 and then in 2009, and that they bring this approach, this citizens approach, to the municipality in terms of creating new policies, public policies. So it was kind of a mix between bottom up from the citizens to the municipality, and then from the municipality to the public, a kind of a top down. So I believe this encounter in the middle between top down and bottom up, it's kind of a great place for things and people to encounter. And then we very quickly we started with mapping, but including in this mapping citizens' participation to find these priority neighbors, not as the problematic neighbors. So the word counts. We don't want to say to these communities they are a problem. So we don't tell them they are problematic neighborhoods or dangerous neighborhoods. They are priorities. Okay, so the semantics here, it was important at the start. We mapped with all big data information at a very low scale of mapping. And on top of that, we had a huge citizens and NGOs participation and local districts also, to create also an overlay of city-owned perception of a local scale to help us to understand what was kind of the Lisbon social territorial fracture, where the problems or the difficulties or the communities that were in these difficulties. These led us to 67 neighborhoods in the city, historical areas, social housing, and so on and so on. And afterwards, we launched a local participation project for NGOs and public districts to create networks, to reinforce networks, and to invest in them in the citizens' engagement for small local projects. We ran more than almost 400 projects in 10 years with more than 2,000 activities, and it created an ecosystem of response and the empowerment of the communities through NGOs, through to creating networks, local networks that were able to respond to other issues after the project. Also, in parallel, we create a third tool that was kind of for more systematic approach for big challenge in neighborhoods. That was to create and launch a co-gov local office task force with deputy mayors on board, on the table, with local associations, with NGOs, with technical service, all about an issue. Could be housing, could be social issues, and to tackle an issue and to make the information and the decisions locally, and have a kind of a local office that creates and combines these public capabilities with the local capabilities and information. All of this in these years in time create a kind of ecosystem. These we call it BIP-ZIP energy, and nowadays we have a fourth tool, and this is all about what is the good practice of the Community Lab project. A fourth tool that is kind of global networks for local development in the city. You have a local association of local community-based CLLD that federates almost 200 organizations for local development in the city. They have their own budget, and they are on programs they are launching now to local development projects also. We have other initiatives, platforms, and so on. So the Community Lab was an opportunity within URBACT program to we had this BIP-ZIP strategy, this BIP-ZIP work was kind of we created this vision of a toolkit, and it was certified as a good practice from URBACT. And we launched afterwards a network with other partners in Europe to share, not to transfer. They call it transfer networks, but more to share this good practice with other colleagues in Europe, different cities. And we were in middle of that with all the difficulties that implies. And the COVID was coming around, and it was a quick and a big transformation in all of our lives and our projects. At local level, I can say that it was very interesting because it had a big impact. And these communities, these BIP-ZIP communities, these neighborhoods were more fragile in some ways to this pandemic social, economical, and impact. So, but we had a good thing going. We had BIP-ZIP projects running. We had the speed dial connection with the local NGOs, associations, inhabitants associations, partners. So it was almost as a COVID response to these communities. It was almost that, and I cannot say who was the first to ignite this process. It was kind of an organic thing. We created kind of an adaptation of the local projects and activities to these specific needs. Examples. Kind of digital platforms for kids in terms of online school, to support our health system with masks and so on. We had projects that were doing things on fabric, so they shift to this in terms of community, but also as a response to the city. And we had two initiatives from with the local partners, obviously. One was to create a digital platform to share and all the things that were ongoing on the field, and to create a more fluid capability of people to share what they need and the resources they have and what they were doing in terms of city, in terms of a big collaborative platform that was easy and it's ongoing. The other thing was a very pragmatic thing that was with the local inhabitants association, the elected districts also, to create a solidarity market for to distribute food for 4, 5, 6 months, 2 times a week. We buy, the municipality buy these products from local farmers around Lisbon to help them also in this circular economy, because they were in a bad fix, because in terms of pandemic the markets were closed. They don't have the channels to distribute They were small farmers, and we are talking about potatoes, fruits, all things that were fresh, and we were buying that on big scale and distributing every week, 2 times a week, in the sports platform. That was our platform for that case. And it was kind of very interesting because we are we have a demanding of digital things now these days, and it was very important also for the associations and the municipality team to participate on we were talking about times of that we were locked down, okay, and it was very important for us to be out there working with our hands, helping distributing and canalizing all this food to real people that were needing in the that have lots of difficulties in the families with the lack of income, jobs, and so on. So in a nutshell, is this I think community.
Yeah. I think it's very important for us also, since you said this was a process of 10 years and you have been the lead in Urbeck, where, let's use the word, where you try to transfer the knowledge and the experience from Lisbon to other cities. You formed this international CLD platform and so on. I would like to know, of course, there are those elements which you said you empower the people, and most likely because people felt like they are the owners of the city, that they became active. I would like to know if you have any suggestions where the Agora cities, or in general cities, should be very careful, where things can go wrong and so on. If you have any tips, 2-3 things to sum up your 10 years experience.
Yes, first of all, that's real participation, real engagement. It takes time. It's slow cooking. Okay, it's not fast food. If you want fast food, it's going to be you have to go in a different direction, I think. And also you have to have a kind of each case is different. Lisbon case is different from our partner Bari or Aalborg or Ostrava or Sofia or whatever, or Cluj or Prague. So you have to understand that that's not a recipe that anybody can give to. We can give you experience, some tools, some things that a roadmap, but and participation, it's very serious thing. So if you engage people, you create expectations, you should step up to them. So you should see it as an important thing. And finally, I think I will say that the most important thing about this kind of interaction in terms of local development is to create empathy and connection, communication with these communities, with these stakeholders, with these actors at different level. And the trust is very important, and it's always demanding to maintain that level of confidence and trust in each other. So it's day-to-day job.
Thank you very much, Miguel. I would like to turn back to Oana and understand a bit also the Cluj context and zoom in a bit. Oana, you heard what the manifesto is suggesting. You heard the experience from Lisbon, and we would like to know, how is Cluj doing? What kind of experience do you have, and what kind of knowledge and tools and so on are you going to bring into this project, and where do you think you will need input from others to advance the Cluj case?
Yes, thank you. Cluj is very young in using these participatory approaches but in the same time, very enthusiastic to do so. We feel like we discovered a very new and useful and practical way on getting things done, and also achieving more support from the whole community if we tackle everything that we do through these participatory and participative and co-creative processes and tools that we started for the last 5 years to use and implement in the city. In terms of previous experiences, we have different projects on Urbact, as Miguel developed a little bit on the good practice transfer network. We also have this outcome and experience from previous projects, and also we have the experience and the lesson learned from another Danube Interreg project. What we try in Agora is to mix all this lesson learned and to scale it up to the next level, to try to put together all the tools that the city already achieved, platforms, online platforms that we developed in other projects, new habits in terms of making the processes on a daily basis, tools to be used by all the stakeholders in the community, and to put all this in the same box and make it make more sense for the others, we created the Civic Innovation and Civic Imagination and Innovation Center, which is a platform, a virtual Agora, if you want, previously to this project, where all the stakeholders from our community can meet and can tackle and discuss subjects and topics that are important to put at the basis of projects. For this particular project, for Agora, we will try to use the tools that we have in the city. We have a platform that was created in Refil, another Urbact project, and we would like to take that and build on it. Of course, with COVID lesson, we need to reinvent and tackle everything in terms of the channels that people will use to connect and to get to the point of co-creation. But we are very, we are at the point of transforming this into a habit, if you want, into a very, very day-to-day tool. I feel this is pretty much the most specific things in Cluj. With our partners, we would like to understand a little bit the context is from the other cities, and also to see where their already achieved experience can be transferred to us, not to do the same effort and the same steps that they already did to get to the same point, since we can already build on somebody else's experience and lesson.
Thank you very much, Ona. Our last city today is Szarvas, and we are going to talk to Sebo Santa. He's the financial manager for the Agora city for this project. Hello, Sebo, or Sebastian. Where are you joining us from?
Yes, hello for everyone, and I hope that everyone is okay.
I think we are. We heard about the objectives for Agora. We heard about Lisbon and the manifesto. How can you relate your city to all those previous inputs?
Actually, our city, Szarvas, is, as I know or checked the application form, is the smallest in the project. So we have about 25 inhabitants with all the surrounding smaller settlements. So, and Szarvas trying to be very active in the different cooperations, like in cross-border cooperations. They are running 2 projects with Romanian partners, and they have some other experience in the Visegrad Fund around Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Austria, and so on. And they want to grab all the facilities. How can they improve the management of the city, or how can they involve the citizens, the inhabitants, to the different decision-making policies or the strategies. One of the problems is that the longer-term development strategies are from another decision-making level. It's on the county level, so we need to prepare some documents, and we need to have some plans for the future development, and add it to this decision-making level. So what would be the benefit for Szarvas? For example, as Miguel mentioned, there are some good practices or best practices. What can we implement in this location? And I was thinking that what is the added value of Szarvas in the project? What can we add to the other partners, or the different plans or documents that will be prepared, that the advantage is equal with the disadvantage, that it's a small town, but the decision making is very fast, because we have one step decision making level. It is the city council. So maybe we can see our city Szarvas as a experimental laboratory. So we can do some things in very fast way, and we can give you a feedback if it works or not. That would be nice.
It's also interesting what your city is doing with vacant places. What is the city strategy, and why did you choose this strategy?
You mean regarding to the vacancies, or?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't understand that. Yes. It's in Szarvas, the vacancies and these facilities are very scattered and mixed. For example, we have some old industrial buildings, but there are cultural monuments like castles, and of course we have some city-owned buildings for rental, social rental facilities, and they are in the different points or locations in the town. So it's not like in a blocks or in one ways, which needs another strategy or a plan how to use it, how to renovate it, how to manage all these facilities. That is one, but we are in a lucky situation that the town can afford to buy some buildings for different purposes. Like we have a yearly theater festival next to the riverbank, and the town, for example, bought a building for accommodation purposes for the actors of the theater, but it's used only in summertime, and in the other periods it's not occupied. So we have many facilities, but in a very mixed way. And
that's
yes, that we have some cultural heritage monuments and buildings, but the problem is, for example, the owner is not the municipality, but for example the state. And if the state doesn't want to spend money or time, or they don't want to develop, we have some very unique buildings, but they are empty, for example, like in the last 20 years. That is another problem.
That's a very sad story. One of the topics for today was how can we use interim use these facilities, these buildings, those spaces in times of emergency. Whom can we activate or give the space or give the support? I would like to turn back to Daniela. What kind of examples do you have in this regard from all those dialogues and discussions so far?
So what I think is really, really nice is how we see that all the cities are experiencing the fact that there's been this exchange and enrichment, thanks to also not only the experience of European transnational cooperation. So I think this is a very, very good start for AGORA, because this, I think, shows from the experience of Lisbon, Cluj, and everybody was saying, you know, we got some ideas, we were discussing with the others, and this is one of the very, very important things to get ideas and inspiration. And also, this also helps both politicians and the administrations to be able to get imagination and ideas to implement in order to really get into a dialogue with what often civil society is asking for, but maybe the city from an administrative and political sense might not really have the answer on how to actually implement it. So this is why it's so important to share the experiences. I think one of the things that we see, and this is, I think, where it would be relevant to also continue getting into depth, is that what we see is that the most problematic point is the economic model. So how to ensure we might be able to find the money. And I think our friend Sebo was saying that it's not always easy to find. There's a lot of premises that don't find the money for regeneration. So it's not always easy, but let's assume that we manage to find the money to do a regeneration. It's not said that we're able to actually maintain it on the long term. And it's not even said that this public investment will be an opportunity for activating local economy. This does not happen spontaneously, especially because more and more often we're having to develop private-public partnerships to be able to do regeneration. So how the public very often doesn't have the inside knowledge to be competitive at the table with the private sector to ensure that the regeneration is really inclusive. So I think this is where more and more it's really important. And I think there's a lot of knowledge developed already by the partners, and more will be done in projects like AGORA to really develop these specific tools to ensure that we're really making the most out of the regeneration we make.
Thank you very much, Daniela. We got a question from Josefina Kurfustova, and she is referring to the different scales of the cities like Lisbon and Szarvas, and is asking, how would you approach challenges or benefits within the stakeholder process connected to the size of the municipality concerned? I would potentially ask Pavel, because he is in between Lisbon and Szarvas. Would you like to react on this question?
Yeah, sure. And let me also say hello to my colleague Josephine. And regarding the issue, I was thinking, what I find fascinating about all the consortiums and all the projects that are like AGORA and so, that although we're like different size of scales or different, that we have big cities, that we have small cities, that we have cities from countries on the west of the EU, on the east of the EU, wherever, we're actually facing similar challenges and dealing with similar issues. Somehow it's different for smaller cities. Somehow it's different for city districts because they have like multi-level governance, and somehow it's different for bigger cities. But if you take a look at it like very closely, we're still handling where do we get the money from? How do we make a better living for our inhabitants? Or what do we do with the formerly industrial places? So I would say every city needs a different approach, but basically the idea behind it is the same.
Thank you very much, Pavel. So another question one of the topics which was in the room in the preparation for this dialogue, but also in the chat rooms, is what kind of support is needed by whom? Like, you have been all in touch with the initiatives in your cities, and somehow you are also connected or working for the council or for the city. Some of us have been also connected to the EU level or international level. So we have the feeling we want to give the local economy, social economy, culture, arts, more space, more support. But who needs what kind of support, practically speaking? I would like to ask maybe Miguel, and then Daniela and Oana.
Hi, it's an interesting question, and it's not possible to have all the framework in a small answer for that issue. But I would say that it's important to and in Lisbon we try to do that, and we think we are at have some success with that. In terms of not starting with a big scale strategy with lots of documents and so on, and to have operative tools, simple tools, flexible tools, adaptive tools that are interlinking directly with each community that we are working with, and that will give the investment, the resources, a local boost. We have a saying in Lisbon that €1 in the hands of this community, it's a public euro. It's more effective than we had lots of barriers and scales and intermediate steps to that investment. So you have to have a balance between that, obviously. But I will say that if you have some tools that interconnect you with the local organizations, with the communities, then you can better adapt imagine COVID, for example, emergency responses or others, and to be more successful to create a better link on these investments directly to people that are in the communities and for the projects and answers they need.
Thank you, Miguel. That's really very valid, and I completely agree. Daniela, what kind of needs did you encounter, and how can we meet them or support people?
I think I was concentrating before more on saying what the city administration should do, and I think also based on what Miguel was saying, I wouldn't maybe not repeat. So maybe what I would try to bring as a point is actually the fact that there needs also to be more training on behalf of, let's say, citizens. It's such a broad, we're all citizens, anybody is a citizen, then some not all with the same civil rights, but we won't get into that right now. So the issue is very much about, when we're talking about like local communities, especially maybe in marginalized areas where it's a bit harder to get resources there, we're often also speaking about communities that might not have the financial means, the knowledge to actually develop alternative models. They might not have the political backup. So I think there needs to be also a process that is really focusing on the empowerment of the communities. So there is a whole work to be done on education, on developing soft skills, and also political backup and financial resources that are allocated specifically towards this.
Another question from Josefina is how to involve the non-private stakeholders in a PPP project. I think it's very close to what you answered. Would you like to add something?
There are developments now going on that is with these fancy acronyms that are PPPPP, which sounds a bit silly, but it's a public-private
partnership.
Civic part, so it's PPCP, whatever. Anyway, I get lost in acronyms, but you understood the idea. So it's actually making sure that in the partnership itself and in the legal model, there are also civic organizations that have a stake. They often don't have the financial stake the most, but they will have a stake, for example, in the management and in the idea. It's still very innovative models. We're all exploring them, I think, but I think this is a way forward to try and ensure that there is a broader involvement.
Thank you very much, Daniela. Oana, you are experimenting already or already active with the citizens in Cluj. How do you meet the needs, and what kind of support do you think is needed?
Yes. I think at the basis of everything, it's the need. So trying to put us as a public administration, how we started at the beginning, we try to put ourselves in the shoes of what the need of attention and making sure that you listen. And that was the first channel of communication that we opened a couple of years ago. And then all these tools that came after, like public budgeting, for example, and taking it to the next level and making it online on a virtual platform, created a new language for the citizens that allowed them to all come on the same level of understanding. And if at the beginning we had a public budgeting addressing very specific neighborhood problems, this amount of money, what do you think we should do? For the first time, the second place, and the third place, and then people started to think like project management approach on a very communitary and very local and neighborhood matter, and you develop this kind of exchange and this kind of new language. We put it down on an online platform, and this allowed also mapping and the documenting of the process yearly. And then this new language that put together different stakeholders, a couple of hundreds of people at the beginning and thousands of people, and now maybe tens of thousands of people are very accustomed with this language of how I express an idea, what my expectations should be, how I go in my community and engage the others to support my idea so that I get voting to have it as a winning idea, to get it actually implemented, and then seeing the results in your day-to-day life on your walk home from work. It's a big incentive. Taking all this learning from a participatory system that we had at the beginning, we try to scale it up and to narrow it in different types of expertise. And as Daniela said, everybody's a citizen. Yes, everybody's a citizen, but now in the Civic Imagination and Innovation Center, we have different layers of citizenship. We have general problems that everybody has an opinion and wants to know about, like urban development and day-to-day ways of solving problems, but you also have very specific and very expertise topics, like how can we use digital tools in order to enhance, I don't know, access to stuff, or to better use resources, or how me as a citizen with my expertise as a teacher or as somebody with a background, scientific background, I can come here and put my share of expertise and giving to solve a problem. And layer after layer after layer after layer, you just got to this new world, which is people contributing with everything that they have and choosing where to put their time and their interest in order to make sure that their idea or voice is heard at the end. And when public money is getting spent, the result of that spending also has the response of their needs.
Thank you very much, Joanna. We are running out of time. I would like to have a last round for everyone, but I don't know if it will work out. It really depends on how much Sebastian and Pavel will talk on the following question. We have been talking about how can we create out of vacancy, out of emergency situations, opportunities. And I would like to have concrete ideas or visions from Prague and Szarvas. Maybe Pavel can start.
Sure, I can. Promise I'll be short. Basically, a specific idea is not to talk about difficulties, but to change the mindset and think about like challenges that we actually can overcome, and that applies for every issue. Then.
Thank you very much. Sebastian?
I don't want to be so detailed, and it's only a theoretical question. That for us, it's not so hard to gather all the stakeholders or the actors from the non-profit sectors or CEOs to involve them to the decision making, or to solve this situation, or to plan for these vacancies. But it's hard, and we need a technique, or we can improve it, to how can we encourage them to thinking out of the box, and not to mention all the same patterns always. So it's a bit out of the scale, this question, but I think it would be important how can we encourage our stakeholders or the citizens.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. It's optional for Miguel, Daniela, and Oana if you want to reflect on this. Last possibility to say something.
I will just have a quick comment or to reinforce an idea that it's important to have the engagement brings along responsibility also. So if you engage, if you are co-producing with the locals, you have to be flexible. Each partner from public and private have to be flexible to be able to adapt, and kind of an open source. You cannot start with a closed idea of what to do. You have to be open and flexible to be able to adapt to the context, to the process, and then drive on that.
Thank you very much, Miguel. Oana,
I also
Oana
think
wants to say something.
Sorry. I also think trust is a very important issue and ingredient in order for all this to work, because if people are not honest in their journey, the result is never exactly answering the need at the end. And this trust, in order to be built and to be taken over and achieved by each stakeholders from the others, it also needs to embrace the importance of failure. And I don't know how, and I'm very eager to learn about the other cities during this project, but in Cluj, we come from a very historical, I don't know, type of approach where failure was something not to talk about. And it's something really new for us to put failure at the table and accept, for example, that an idea might not be saluted by the others, or might not be the way the problem we want to solve people think is the way, and all this. But if you embrace failure and you learn from it and you accept it publicly and you build, then trust is something that you earn at the end.
Thank you very much, Oana. This is perfect for the closing. Unfortunately, the time is over. Most of the people have to go back to work, so the lunch break is over. I want to thank a lot my guests and also the Agora project partners for being with us, for discussing with us. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Daniela, for the external expertise. We had Agora featured today. You are very welcome to get in touch with us if you want to be featured in this in the next episode as well. My colleagues moderated on different social media and they collected your feedbacks, concerns, and questions. So we will try to get those comments also into the process in developing and shaping the case studies, the 10 case studies. You can get in touch with us through info@cooperativecity.org, and we will be streaming the video and short documentation of this episode on our website, Cooperative City. We will be available for you on the Agora Facebook page for the moment, and try to get in touch with us. Let's experience together, let's share together. In 2 weeks' time, we will have the next Cooperative City in Dialogue. We will be very practical. We will be talking about tools. How can we make our cities winter-proof and pandemic-proof? Because winter means, yeah, we would like to be inside, but that's not really possible with the pandemic. So it will be a very interesting episode. We would be very happy to have you. My name is Vahan Onasio from Utopian. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.